Ohio State just landed a future star and five-star safety Blaine Bradford, a hard-hitting playmaker built to dominate.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we'll discuss Ryan Day confirming his plans for the spring showcase, as well as a strong start the Buckeyes have in the 26th cycle. But first, Ohio State has had a strong month of March in regards to recruiting. Yeah, spring practice started, but they have been hot on the recruiting trail, and they capped it off with a massive win on March 31st with a commitment from five-star safety Blaine Bradford. He's a hard-hitting playmaker. He's one of those guys that's physically built right now to play college football. And when you want a guy like this on the back half of your secondary, a guy that plays with great instincts, he takes the right pursuit angles, he is a thumper. You feel him when he gets to you. This is the kind of guy that's not only a guy that Ohio State wants, he has the possibility of being a future star, which makes it an even bigger get for Ohio State. Ohio State's been doing a lot of good things right now on the recruiting trail in spring practice with the pro day. They've been doing a lot of great things. But being able to capitalize on a moment when a guy comes on campus for a visit, especially in the spring, is huge. And Ohio State has been flooded with a lot of visitors on unofficial visits over the past few weeks. Guys have come in the first week. There are probably 2 or 3 dozen players that came on visits during the first week. There's a scrimmage over the weekend. And you know, anytime you hear Ohio State in scrimmage, there's going to be a lot of players that are being recruited by the Buckeyes that are trying to get their eyes on that scrimmage, to sit in on the meetings, and trying to figure out exactly what it takes and what it means to get on the field and to progress in the Scarlet and Gray. And for Blaine Bradford to be a guy that's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, down there playing at Catholic high school, to get there on campus, see everything, be able to see the scrimmage, get to see Matt Carreri and Tim Walton in the meeting room and seeing them getting some behind the doors, like closed meeting type of feel for the team. I think that's huge and very, very valuable, especially when Bradford's brother signed to play with LSU. Yes, he currently plays in the backyard of LSU, but Bradford's brother's in the class of 2025 is signed to be a Tiger. But Bradford said, no, I don't want to play down there in the Bayou, even though it would be his own backyard. Parents can see him all the time. No, he wanted to go to Ohio State. And that speaks volumes about what Ohio State currently has going in the secondary. When you think about Matt Carreri and Tim Walton, but also you think about a new defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, that trio is one that I think is going to help a guy like Bradford who can play multiple spots on defense. He's not just going to play either a free safety or a strong safety. He can come up a little bit and play in the box or play cover safety or cover corner, nickel corner, whatever you want to call it. He can play all those positions. And what is one thing Matt Patricia does very, very well, or he did do very well when he was the defensive coordinator? He knows how to move safeties around. And when you get a versatile safety that can play 2 or 3 positions, he's going to move you quite a bit. We've seen Matt Patricia do that in the NFL, and I guarantee he's going to do that with Blaine Bradford, assuming, I'm not going to say it's set in stone, assuming Bradford signs on the dotted line down the road. That's the one thing about a guy committing right now to Ohio State. He committed on March 31st, on the last day of the month. There's a long time, over a year and a half, until Bradford's going to sign his national letter of intent. And I'm not going to be an analyst that's going to come in here on here and say, oh, he's definitely going to be a Buckeye. He's definitely going to wear the Scarlet and Gray. He's going to do that down the road. I am not going to do that. We're going to do things proper around here at Locked On Buckeyes and realize the reality of the situation is you don't know what's going to happen until a guy signs on the dotted line. And even then, after you sign, there may be a situation where he requests to get out of signing the national letter of intent. And sometimes the NCAA honors said request. So I would love to sit up here and say, yeah, it's going to happen. But I don't think so. I don't know. I can't say that. But he visited over the weekend. He chose Ohio State over LSU, over Texas, and over Alabama, among others. That's just big. Ohio State's been able to get a footprint down in the South over the past 12 months, maybe past 18 months. Saban retires. Okay, let's go down there and get Caleb Downs. Oh, let's go down there and get Seth McLaughlin. Let's get Julian Sayin. There's some other guys down there, Fahim Delane being one of them, that is down there in the South, in the SEC footprint, and Ohio State's saying, the greatest coach of all time in this sport is gone. How about we just stretch our arms out and stretch our feet out and make our mark all over this part of the country? And Ohio State's doing that. And for Ryan to have the ability right now to stretch down there to the South, that's just going to make Ohio State more of a true contender to always be right there, to be one of those teams that's going to be a true contender to be a national champion. Yeah, they already have that right now, but the best players in the country are in the South. Yeah, you got Southern California. That's a hotbed of football as well, but the South is different. There's a reason why the SEC is what it is in football. Yes, I know the tradition-rich programs and CBS really pumping up the Southeastern Conference when it did. I get all of that stuff. But the reality is, so the players are. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia. There are dudes down there, man. There are a lot of dudes down there in the South. Yeah, South Florida, you got the whole Sunshine State that's full of talent. But the South is different. And the fact that Ohio State continues to stretch out a little bit is huge. Bradford, as a player, go out there and watch his film. Watch the clips. You'll quickly see that man flies down the hill. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. He is another guy that is great with the instincts. And I just don't want to throw that word great out there loosely. His instincts pop off the chart. You can tell before the snap of the ball. This is during his junior year that I was watching the film. He is a guy that before the snap of the ball will start to move a little bit and creep to certain areas so that once the ball is snapped, bam, he's right there and going. And it was just so much fun to watch him play after play after play after play, just go downhill and smack people, go downhill and thump on people, go downhill and make sure the guy with the ball felt him every time he got there. And it was great. He's primarily going to be one of those guys that's great in run coverage. But, however, you can't be a five-star and just be a one-trick pony. He's not just great in run coverage. There are times that he gets out there in one-on-one situations and he makes sure the ball is incomplete. His range, his speed, all of that is at the level that you want from a five-star. And also, one thing I loved about him, I love about any athlete, he's a multi-sport athlete. He not only plays football, he plays baseball, and he runs track and field. He's a part of the 4x100 relay team, and he also ran an 11.73 100-meter dash. You may want to say, Jay, that's not blazing speed. Well, on the football field, to me, he runs faster than an 11.73, which is great. This is a young man that is now the 8th commitment in Ohio State's 2026 recruiting class, the second consensus five-star recruit, the other one being Chris Henry Jr., the talented receiver that all roads is sure seeming like he's going to sign with the Buckeyes on the early national signing period down the road. I can't wait. I can't wait for that moment. And for this young man to commit to Ohio State when he did, it's helping Ohio State set a very distinct foundation for the 2026 cycle. We'll discuss that next. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now, I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person, and getting tickets shouldn't be stressful to those events. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. One thing Game Time has that makes your ticket purchasing process a whole lot easier is Game Time Picks, which is a curation that makes it easier to find better value for tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and other events near you. I just checked the Game Time app, and there are amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up. And one thing that Game Time provides is the ability to have a peace of mind with views before you buy. There are no surprise fees and a lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. If you missed our pod that came out yesterday at 5 p.m. Eastern, talking about a major portal target for the Ohio State basketball team, go check it out. It's a big man that I had the privilege of covering in high school, and he would be an immediate scheme fit and would help out in a big way on the defensive end of the court. Go check it out. He's an efficient basketball player. Can't see his name. Just go check out the show and dive into a couple of big men that Ohio State should go after in the portal. Speaking of the portal, Ohio State's going to go to the portal down the road. The college football portal is going to be kind of crazy in the spring. Not super crazy. Not going to miss college basketball. But it might get a little hectic with there being guys that might try to go elsewhere. But one thing Ohio State can do right now is not focus on the portal like some other people have to. Focus on the recruiting trail. Because Ohio State currently has set a strong foundation with their 26th cycle. They had 4 verbal commitments in the month of March. The latest was 5-star safety Blaine Bradford. It's a 24/7 Sports composite ranking that he got. Another one was Maxwell Riley, the 4-star tackle from Avon Lake High School. Another commitment in the month of March was Sam Greer from Akron. And then the other was Tucker Smith from Glendale, Arizona. He's currently a 3-star guard or tackle. Brian Smith and I did a show recently and discussed how Tucker Smith should probably be a 4-star, just based off the talent when you watch him on the film. The other players that are part of Ohio State's 2026 recruiting class that make this such a solid start and strong foundation for the Buckeyes. Mentioned Chris Henry Jr. earlier, playing out there in Santa Ana, California. Jacob Weatherspoon out of Avon High School, a 4-star corner there. Some others, Jaden Ricketts, another Ohio kid, 4-star receiver. Corbin Fordham is the last one we haven't mentioned yet, 3-star tight end from Jacksonville, Florida. All these guys are solid players. And it makes it very, very easy for Ohio State to try to bring other guys in when you have such a strong core. No, there's not a quarterback. There aren't running backs. There aren't the plethora of corners or guys on defense. That's going to come in time. But when you have 8 verbal commitments right now at the month of March, and you haven't even got to the back half of spring practice or even your spring game yet, you already have this, to hint to what's coming up later in the show. This is great. I mean, this is what you want. Ryan Day is bringing in coaches and is constructing a recruiting staff to do what's happening right now. You want this every single spring. Now, you're not going to get it. You're not going to have 3 verbal commitments from offensive linemen in every March. No, absolutely not. You're not going to get that all the time. But what you can get is 6 to 8 guys that are solid. A lot of them are in the state of Ohio, so you're locking down your state. You know the words. The best in Ohio, stay in Ohio. And Ryan Day is truly, once again, believing those words and putting his effort and his energy right there to lock down the state. But not only that, the Chris Henry Jr., he committed very, very early. And by all accounts, it does not seem like he's going to back away from his commitment. I mean, we're in 2025. Chris Henry Jr. committed to Ohio State before the kickoff of the 2023 season. Think about how wild that is. He is in the midst of his junior year of high school. For that to be the case right now, y'all, that's insane. But that just shows, one, you went after a kid. You got him early. He's talented. Currently 6'5", 205. I'm looking right now at Bucknuts on the S247 site. So he could be 210, 215. But what'd you get? You got your evaluation early. You got a relationship early. You made it very, very clear that you're trying to raise up the standard of receiver play at Ohio State. While you had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Njigba and McLaurin and Curtis Samuel and the other guy, Paris Campbell and guys like that previously. Now you got Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, Bryson Rogers, Jeremiah Smith. You're raising up the level and the standard in that receiver room. And Chris Henry Jr. saying, okay, I want to be a part of that. You got on him so early and he stuck around, and it doesn't seem like he's going to go away from that verbal commitment. One, that's huge. But two, a lot of young players are just going to say, no, I'm young. I changed my mind. I'm going to go somewhere else. No, he's sticking to his word. His word means something. His word is his bond. And I love that about a young man. But Ohio State's great. Now, there are some things now in the recruiting trail that I think Ohio State needs to consider in regards to players they need to go after, mainly it's positions that they need to go after. And maybe there may be a position here or there where they have to go after a couple guys. Great. But I think, first and foremost, quarterbacks is one of them. And I said quarterbacks on purpose because I think Ohio State is in a situation right now where no matter who the starting quarterback is right now, really, if it's Julian, it's not like we think, you're probably going to need two quarterbacks anyway, two scholarship quarterbacks going into the 2026 season. Does Keene stay on the team into the fall if he is not the front runner at the end of spring? I don't know. My gut says no, but I have no idea. If he leaves, you only have two scholarship quarterbacks on the roster, which goes into why I think Ryan Day should go to the portal. Like, regardless if Keene leaves or not, you need some veteran leadership in that room. That room is very, 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 very young. And you need somebody in there to kind of be the adult in the room. Now, they're not kids, but you know what it's like when you're 18 or 19 years old versus when you were 22 or 23. And if you're not 22 or 23 and you are 18 or 19, look around at the guys that are just a few years older than you. You can see the maturity is a little bit different. The way they carry themselves, especially as athletes, should be a little bit different. And so that's one. But I think two quarterbacks in the 26 cycle makes a whole lot of sense. O-line and D-line, you already got a good start on the three offensive linemen that are verbally committed. I think Ohio State should have at least five, maybe minimum of five, possibly six offensive linemen if you can get them. I'm sure you can get five. But the sixth, we'll see. We'll see. But I think that you should go for six as well. Defensive linemen, really, D tackles, two. You should every cycle. 5 O-linemen and 4 defensive linemen. Just one at every position, a 3-tech, a 1-tech, 2 guys on the edge. Now this year for the edge, with you having C.J. Hicks on the edge, I think it's now time for you to pursue getting one of those types of guys every year. And I don't care who the D coordinator is. Not just an elite pass rusher, an edge player, a guy that's going to be a 2-point stance guy that's just going, but also can turn himself into being a really good NFL prospect down the road. Others, tight end, you're going to lose 2 guys. You're going to lose Max Clare, and you're going to lose Will Kazmarek. Now, you got Max LeBlanc, and you got Bennett Christian and Jelani Thurman that are on the team now. I still think that Ohio State needs to go out there and get 2 tight ends in this cycle. And then safeties, 3 or 4, honestly. I mean, 2 is a minimum. If you get 3, that's a luxury because you might be able to get one in the portal. I say all that to say that's what should happen. It's not to say they're not going to go after other positions, but these are the ones of need. One thing Ryan Day felt the need to do during the last media availability session was talk about the Buckeyes spring game, and Ryan Day's plans for that day are plans that you'll like. I'll tell you what they are next. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your order. That's supplyhouse.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing, it's going to change very, very soon for the better. It's that the sound for this show is going to get better. One thing happened a couple months ago, and it was my microphone just gave up the ghost. And the backup mic I had, that died too. So I had a regular mic. No, that was gone. The backup set, that's gone. The audio we've been using has been going this way for quite a while because my wife and I recently bought a house, closed on it, and we're trying to make sure everything is right before we move in. Don't worry. The sound's going to get better. The sound's going to get back to getting the way you want it to be, and it's a need to get better. It's also a need for Ryan Day. Well, he felt there was a need to discuss the plans for the spring game. When I said they're plans you're going to like, I wasn't lying because Ryan Day once again confirmed that his plans are to have a spring game. And I am right there with him. Ryan Day left this quote. I'm going to read the quote here in a second, but there's no reason not to have a spring game. I have never been a proponent or a fan of coaches that are leaning towards canceling spring games because of tampering or other coaches getting a look at your players. You know what's been happening for decades? Spring games. You know what's been happening a long time? These networks are putting their spring games on TV. So why all of a sudden now is it time for all these people in these high power positions to say, oh no, don't play a spring game. You're going to let your film get out there for everybody to see. You know what coaches do? Share film. Like they're so easy to get film nowadays that the accessibility of it is one where people can even tap into your practice film. Now, it's illegal, but I'm sure some people are doing it. To say that you don't want to play a spring game because, well, somebody might get our players, they're going to tamper anyway. That's not a good reason to talk about trying to cancel a spring game. If you're thinking about, well, we don't want to let people look at our stuff, you're so vanilla in the scrimmage because you know what's on TV. Cool. If they want to take an HB dive and say, oh, they're going to run an HB dive on 2nd and 5 on their own 35, cool. Nobody cares. Also, Ryan Day's one reason about not doing it, so he says, is due to injuries. Injuries are part of the game. If you try to prevent injuries, okay, you could do that. But by doing that, you're not playing football. To play football, you need to be physical. You need to get your body ready for battle. And how do you do that? By playing football. You know what also happen to athletes? Athletes get non-contact injuries. They happen all the time. So if you're going to eliminate this scrimmage, if it wasn't on TV, you're going to have it behind closed doors. And it might be more physical. So I understand the thought about the injuries. I just don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it at all. This scrimmage is tradition. It is very valuable to Ohio State's current team and the Buckeyes on the recruiting trail. If you think this month of March was great for Ohio State on the recruiting, wait till see what happens when they're 48 to 70. No, I can't do all the math. The next 2 to 3 days after. I'm laughing out loud because I was trying to do it, didn't work out. The next 2 to 3 days after the spring game. Look and see how many guys commit. Why? You're riding off the high of the spring game. You're seeing the atmosphere. You're seeing everything you want when you play in college, and you're so compelled and you so love what you like. What do? You commit right there on the spot. So Ryan Day's quote about this is very, very short. Quote, we'll continue to look at the health throughout this week and into next week, but the plan is to have a game format on the 12th, which will be great, end quote. Cool. Here's another thought I have, and it's another question maybe you have. And I want to get to something else in regards to spring that Ryan Day said that kind of caught my attention. If the plan all along was to have a spring game, or if the plan now is to have a spring game, why say a spring showcase, which throws off the fan base who are paying money to be there to watch the team? If maybe there was a thought that the spring showcase was going to be something different and you weren't sure what the format, great, cool. But maybe, just maybe, for the fans that are flooding Ohio Stadium, that are paying a lot of money to watch these players play, maybe, just maybe, it would have made a whole lot more sense to just say spring game. Because I know people that aren't going to the spring showcase, which is still labeled a spring showcase. They have not changed the graphic to spring game. But I know people that aren't going because they didn't know what the spring showcase was. Now, for us, it's April Fool's Day. This is not a joke either. This is not April Fool's where it's the joking matter where no, Ohio State's, no, this is real. They have an actual game on that 12th, the spring showcase day. But if they would have just kept it as a spring game, fans probably would have been fuller. The atmosphere would have probably been stronger. Would have been more of a buzz around the shoe as their OHIO went around throughout the game. Trust me, I guarantee. Well, many of us have been to the spring games. There have been 60 or 70,000 people. I know some of you may have been there where there were 100,000. I wasn't there for that. That would have been a fun sight to see. So you may be like, man, I would have gone, but it's kind of like to try to make last-minute plans to go to something that just now got confirmed, and I have a firm belief that I know what we're going to be watching. No, man, not at all. But Ryan Day also made some comments about some things that Fran Brown, the Syracuse head coach, and Deion Sanders were trying to do, have a joint practice for the spring game. The NCAA denied it, and Ryan Day made a comment. I'm trying to make sure I pull the right thing up. In regards to the spring game. I'll read a quick quote here. Quote, I think if teams want to do that, then I think the rules committee should take a look at that and allow folks to do that if that's what they want to do. For us, I'd be concerned about the health because when you practice, there are certain rules of engagement that have to happen. And so one of the things we really have to teach our players is how to practice. And 7-on-7, teamwork, if we're not tackling people to the ground, what is the tempo? You start talking about thud and different things, and we don't take side shots. And when the receivers are in the air, we don't take their legs out and do those types of things. End quote. Like, everything you're saying there is right. Yes, the 7-on-7 versus team, when you're with your own team, there are different things you can do to try to protect each other and certain things you don't do as Ryan Day is coaching you to make sure you protect your teammates and your brothers. I get all of that. But think about this, and I've been a fan like as long as you have, maybe longer, not sure. The NFL at the highest level, they have joint practices it's in the fall. They have camp, they have training camp. Some teams allow fans to go, make it a whole fan ordeal. It's great. I've been to numerous Indianapolis Colts training camps. They're fun. Actually, one year the Browns came in, and it was even more fun there because I heard, here we go, Brownies, here we go. I'm like, man, y'all took over the whole thing. But Browns fans are wild. Many of you are Browns fans, and you know that what I just said is true. But NFL teams have joint practices. Generally, with the joint practice, your starting quarterback and your starters will get more run against that other team's ones than they will during the preseason game when those two teams play. Great. Cool. At the college level, college football, they don't have joint practices. College basketball, they have joint practices. A lot of those are closed. They're scrimmages. It's easier to do that with basketball than football as far as like trying to control the physicality and things. I get that, but basketball, they have joint practices. A lot of them are behind closed doors. Just hush, hush, don't tell nobody, but we know they happen. High school, I recently started covering high school football, and one thing I realized is they have joint practices before like official practice starts in August to start the season. When you have summer conditioning, the state allows teams to have joint practices. So this is not something that Ryan Day is like, no, this is new high school level. They have joint practices. They even have 7-on-7 against other teams. College basketball, they have joint practices. NFL, they've been having it. College football doesn't. I understand everything Ryan Day is saying, but I feel like this is a big miss in regards to a way for your team to get better. This is not new stuff. It shouldn't be. This is a fundamental way. While the NCAA denied Fran Brown and Deion Sanders for Syracuse and Colorado, respectively, to play in the spring game, which I think was a big miss for them, I think down the road, with the power these TV networks have, you're going to find a scenario where the TV networks say, no, NCAA, change your rules. We will always see Ohio State play against another power conference school in a scrimmage. We can control the rules. They have scrimmages in high school football. Growing up, I played in Indiana, in Lower Central High School, and we always had a scrimmage before week one. It was kind of like a preseason, but you knew there were certain rules. You had a certain amount of players from a certain yard marker, and you went in, and once that was up, you switched. There were rules. You could control it, and the refs were there to run everything. I understand Ryan Day's concerned about the physicality. Ryan Day's concerned about the injuries. I get all of that. But trust me, there is no reason why high school, they have it. College basketball, they have it. NFL, they have it. But college football, they don't. It doesn't make sense. And I have a good feeling that the rules committee is going to change some rules to allow teams like Syracuse, teams like Colorado, teams like Ohio State to embark on team scrimmages, joint practices. I think it's going to make a better product during the early portion of the college football season. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Tuesday. Didn't know that I was going to get that go that way towards the end of the show, but I really believe this is a great opportunity for every college football team to get better right now. Don't wait in the fall, do it in the spring. I don't care. Just do it. It makes too much sense not to. Thank y'all for making the show a part of your day and making this your first listen. That was a great time. Let's get back on track. To make the college basketball, your second listen of the day is Andy Patton and Isaac Shade are the two men to follow as we get closer and closer to tip-off of the Final Four in San Antonio, Texas. I'm going to be tapped into them. I hope you are too. You can find Locked On College Basketball and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you get your fine podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Tuesday. I got a little excited towards the end of the show. You don't want to miss tomorrow's because I might get excited there too.